What's going on, everybody? Leviathan here, and what a time to be a little sick, unfortunately. I came down with something earlier this week, I guess, whatever, It is what it is. But exciting news has hit patch 2.5 out of nowhere, basically. Landed on the PTR earlier this week. I want to say it was January 31st or so. I'm recording this on Thursday, February 2nd, so as you can see, I'm a few days behind. But holy crap, did not see this coming. I have the patch notes up here for you guys, and I'll hop in game to show you a few of the things as we talk about them. So it's kind of crazy. We didn't really know. We knew there was going to be a PTR, but we didn't really know A, what would be in it, and B, whether it would be coming up soon or later or anything like that. So it's here, and there's a lot in here. So 2.5, one of the features that we knew about at BlizzCon 2016, the Armory, is introduced in this patch. So now players can save up to 5 different builds per character using the Armory, and this is a new feature that you can find in each of the acts. You can save a build and it will snapshot your character's current gear, the gems, the passives, the active skills, Kunai Q powers, and then equipping a saved Armory build will automatically swap the items and gear between the character and the stash. One thing that I keep seeing people talking about this is like, oh my gosh, so much more space. This is not storage space. I need you guys to understand that this is the ability to save your build. Almost think of it as when you go to the leaderboards and you do view hero details for someone's build to see how they cleared that Greater Rift 90 or something like that. This is basically what that is. I can actually hop into the game and show you. When you go here, there's Act 1. This is the Armory now, right next to the stash. You pop in here, and you can see I have this Greater Rift set up. And if you do the Details button, it's exactly what I was kind of telling you guys about. This is what that View Heroes detail thing kind of looks like when you're looking at someone's Greater Rift clear. So you can see the skills, passives, the Q powers, and the actual gear. I have that currently equipped. Here I have on my first saved build a T13 speed farm setup. Right now you can see my weapon is missing, probably because it's part of a different build or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but if I equip it, this item is missing. Are you sure you want to equip it? Okay. And I equip and it automatically switches, so you can see some of the things got pulled out. I'm kind of curious where that weapon went. Hopefully I didn't get rid of it. It's PTR or whatever. But yeah, so you can see that you can easily swap between these things very quickly. Just equip, boom, now I'm in this, and it took the gems out of the old stuff, the speed rift stuff, put my gems in for greater rifts. So it's very exciting, really cool change. We'll now not have to make 5 different characters to hold different builds. You can just instantly swap between things. You can see there's the 5 per character. It's really great. Next up in this PTR patch is the crafting mat storage. This was something that was also detailed at BlizzCon 2016. Now, with this patch, crafting materials will be picked up or obtained through salvaging, will appear in a separate storage tab that frees up space in the shared stash. This tab can be accessed through the inventory window. So what you'll see here is that at the bottom of my screen, there's this little anvil next to where the gold and your blood shards are. You click that anvil, bang! Here's all the bounty mats, here's the crafting mats, here's my hellfire mats. Some of the things people have been noting is it's kind of sad that diamonds or gems aren't saved in here, your hellfire machines aren't saved in here. So maybe if there's enough feedback, they'll make that change, but at the very least, this does open up quite a bit of stash space. So that's really great. If you actually look at my stash, I previously had like an entire, these are all just crafting mats, and now that's all freed up because it got stuck in here. And that's actually kind of funny. It looks like the display is capped at 99,999, but when you hover over it, it'll show you exactly how many you have. So really excellent change. And from here, something that's not even mentioned in the patch notes is now, since your mats are stored in this tab here, when you go to do the Kunai's Cube stuff, you open up your recipes page and it'll actually fill for you whatever is required for the recipe. So let's say I wanted to upgrade a rare item. Maybe I had a fist weapon in here or a spirit stone. I would put that spirit stone in, and I also hit fill, and then boom, it pulls materials right from the crafting mats tab, in here. So then I can just boom, do that, transmute, and you're good to go. So it's very exciting stuff. Quickly heading back to the stuff that has changed with this patch. For the classes, we have a quick change for Crusaders. Shield Glare, Divine Verdict rune has been updated to apply its secondary effect even if the target is immune to crowd control effects. I believe that Divine Verdict is the one that allows you to get extra boosted damage whenever you blind an enemy. So it looks like previously maybe that boosted damage wasn't being applied to, you know, something like a Juggernaut, and now it will be. So that's a nice buff. Even though they're not getting the blind, they're not being blinded because they're immune to those CC effects, they will still take extra damage, so that's good. Going forward, this was something that shocked everyone. I think we're all still kind of reeling from this being included because this was not detailed at BlizzCon. We had no idea it was coming. Primal Ancient items. Legendary and set items will now have a chance to roll as Primal Ancient. These items are more rare than Ancient items and have increased stat ranges. And that's all they're saying there, right? But there's a lot to know about Primal Ancients. I actually wish that I had queued one up for you guys. I can potentially try and find it at some point during this video. But basically, they are these new tier of items. You can almost think of them as ancient items. They come with this red border. They kind of have a primal look to them. And they basically roll with increased stats across the board. Some are more predictable than others, and some overlap ranges from ancient items. It's kind of weird. I'm not exact. Again, you know, it's just PTR. Things are subject to change, so we'll see if this is exactly how they end up rolling out. But for instance, on weapons, you're going to have increased damage ranges for the base weapon damage. You're going to have increased primary stats on gear in general. So you can expect to see way higher, you know, dexterity, strength values. You're going to see higher thorns values on your secondary, so thorns builds will get a buff here. Although some people are saying it's not equal in terms of the amount of thorns that's being buffed versus the amount of just base damage you can get on a weapon that's going up. The secondary resistances are going up as well too. So, you know, for monks, for instance, that use Harmony, you're going to get a buff to your defense that way. So there's a lot going on with these. Apparently they're going to be very rare. We're thinking it's about 1% chance. It's like a 10% chance after it's ancient. So, you know, there's a 10% chance for a legendary to be ancient, and then we believe it's a 10% chance for an ancient to be primal. So you got a 1% chance. And if you've ever tried to upgrade a gem at 1%, you can understand just how rare that's probably going to be. So this is more for the grinders out there, for the people who, you know, get to your ancient tier of gear at some point during a season, and then it's just Paragon farming. Well, now you also have a gear hunt reintroduced back into the game. I'm very excited for this personally. I think it's a great change, and I think it will make for an exciting long-term season versus, you know, the first 2 weeks of a season gearing up, and then all right, here goes the Paragon grind for 10 weeks. Hopefully I log in every day to keep up with everyone else. But we'll see kind of where things suss out with that, just exactly how rare they are, just how useful and necessary they'll be and things like that. It definitely will impact leaderboards. That's another side of it, in terms of who can get like a primal ancient weapon that works for their build and stuff. So we'll see. It also will probably make bounties more important, as people will want to re-roll, reforge gear a ton. And there's changes to bounties too, but we'll get to that in just a moment. A couple of other legendary item changes. Following items have been adjusted. Reinhardt has an increased chance for proccing its legendary item power on frozen targets from 10 to 20%. So maybe we'll see some cold builds, I don't know. Stronger Embracers is a nice change. The damage bonus from this item is now applied when the knockback occurs, rather than when the enemy lands, and the damage bonus duration has been increased to 6 seconds. I don't know what this one is about, like why they targeted this in particular, but it's just a buff overall, so that's really great. Can't argue with that. So Strong Arm's getting better. A couple of class specific things. Remember the Barber from last patch, or the current patch, didn't quite come out the way that Witch Doctors had hoped, so they did another pass on it here for the PTR in 2.5. The weapon is now a ceremonial knife instead of a dagger, which allows it to roll the same damage as other Witch Doctor items. The damage bonus to the final explosion of this item's legendary power has also been reintroduced, and with this change, the item's legendary power will also be updated in Kanai's cube for those who have already extracted it, and players will need to re-equip the power in the cube for the updated version to appear. So it sounds like it should be returning to some form of its prior glory when it was dominating things on the PTR. I don't know if that means it's going to be like super, super strong again, but at least this should make it better than it previously was. Hopefully Witch Doctors will get in here and test it and see just how good this will be now. Manald Heal, the ring that's sweeping the wizard builds by storm, creating all sorts of lightning wizards that do really awesome damage. It's been a pleasure to see them this season. Wizard pets, such as Hydras, will now also proc the damage component of Manald Heal when attacking a target, and this change will appear in an upcoming PTR patch. So it sounds like it's part of the notes, but not necessarily part of the build that's on the PTR right now. It's going to take me a while to wrap my head around exactly how impactful that is, but it sounds good. It sounds like it will do some additional damage for wizards, so maybe they'll be able to do something besides Archon, maybe, but probably Archon will still factor in greatly because it's just so important for wizards. But very cool. Manald Heal is surprisingly good. I don't think many people foresaw just how sick it would be. Lastly, we have some changes to adventure mode. Greater Rifts. Now there's going to be a requirement for participating in certain difficulty levels in public games that's going to be tied to solo Greater Rift clears instead of current Paragon level. So for Torment 1 through 6, there's no requirement. Torment 7, you need to at least have done a Greater Rift 30 solo to be able to enter public games for that, and then so on and so forth, going up 5 for each difficulty, with Torment 13 needing a Greater Rift solo of 60, which kind of makes sense, right? Because GR60 is supposed to be equivalent to T13. So what this should do is impact the culture and the cohesion, I guess, of groups in public games, so that people shouldn't have to feel like they're just getting, tons of leeches jumping into their games and it's not very productive. It should be that everyone that's in that difficulty can at the very least handle the difficulty because they've cleared a Greater Rift equivalent to that difficulty. And this change only applies to players on PC and Mac. A couple of set dungeon changes here. Unhallowed Essence, upper right tile for this dungeon has been replaced with one that affords more space for monsters spawning as quality of life improvement. So for this one, there's a requirement to hit 20 monsters with multi-shot. Sounds like it'll be easier to do that. Armor of a Khan, the number of times Condemn must hit 10 or more enemies to complete the objective, has been reduced from 12 to 10. So now you don't have to get as many groups for those Condemn hits. And then Delcir's Magnum Opus, the required number of enemies players must hit at once with slow time has been reduced from 30 to 20, and the number of times they must be hit has been increased from 3 to 4. So you need to do it more times, but with less enemies. Not too bad. Now this change, bounties, this is a big change that seems to be being held as positive 100% across the board. Bonus acts have been removed. With this change, completing 5 bounties in any act will now grant you a large Herodric chest containing the same contents as the Herodric and bonus caches. So what that means basically is that you can hop into any act that you want and you'll be able to get double the mats. It doesn't mean you have to wait for, Act 1 to roll around again if all you need is some Act 1 mats, or if you just want the Ring of Royal Grandeur but you don't want to do it when it's not the bonus because it feels weird or bad or whatever. So this should be a good change, especially for, again, public games where people somehow can turn in the wrong bounty bonus over and over again, and then you just miss out on tons of bonus caches. Now everything is a bonus, so it should be good. And I think also this should help solo in that, like, if you disconnect in the middle or something, you don't have to feel bad about, like, oh, I just have to, like, start again from whatever is the bonus and then go around and I have this uneven number of mats. Now if you were able to do 3, 4, and 5 but then you disconnect, well, you can hop back in and do 1 and 2. So this should be a good change, but this doesn't necessarily address the fact that solo will still be slower than groups. I would like them to do some sort of like catch-up mechanic, or not even a catch-up, but just understand that if someone starts a game solo and the game can, acknowledge that someone does all those bounties by themselves, then maybe they would get double the bonus or 2 bonus of these large caches or something. But in any case, that's pretty much all we've seen right now. There probably will be some undocumented changes and more changes in the future, so look forward to hearing more about patch 2.5 on the PTR. Came up crazy quick. We did not see this coming. It's very exciting though, and I personally can't wait to see the impact of Primal Ancients, the impact of how the Herodric bonus changes affect things and whatnot. So it's gonna be sick. And then last but not least, I actually was able to scare up a Primal. There's one that someone tweeted at me, although this is bugged because there's no average damage roll on there, which there should be on Wizard offhands. So you can kind of see some of the things that you might expect. And there's even other ones too. Let me see if I can find one for you. Primal Rage. Come on. Actually, I know what happened. I tweeted one. I didn't have it sent to me. Sorry for this. I wasn't prepared. I'm so bad, guys. Here we go. Here's one that Desolacer had found. And so you can see he's got some of the stat ranges on there. So it's a pretty hefty Dawn. Those numbers are like as good as some two-handed bows and stuff like that. So very exciting things to look forward to. And I hope you guys will get into the PTR and try it out.